Everyone, hope everything is going well. I wanted to do another M2 video, Global M2. The guy that I first found out about this was Joe Consorti, so make sure to give him a follow. I don't know if he's getting the data off Bloomberg, but I always see it on his channel, so want to give attribution where it's deserved. And the M2 numbers came out for the US today, so I put this together up until um, November. So I may just do like M2 review for 2024. It's the year end. So, anyways, what I was surprised about, and when I did these numbers, I calculated the US, ECB, Japan, China. And for the ECB, Japan, China, I had to take that data and convert it to a USD base currency because it's in their currency. And then I had to convert it. And the data is very interesting. And what I found out was that China has the most M2. It's about 40% of M2 because I'm obsessed. You looked at my other videos about M2 in the United States, but I was talking to a relative and I've said that, hey, look, or he told me that, hey, look, US is only about 20 some percent of global M2, approximately. You got to broaden your analysis and look at worldwide liquidity. And now I do believe liquidity is based on M2 and credit, and I will look at credit in a future video. And I have to figure out what's a good way of measuring credit. But from the beginning of this year, right, I want to use evidence when I'm looking at M2, right? I've talked about how I do believe the system's going to be crashing down, and my mind hasn't changed. But this could give me a better indicator of when that could occur. Okay. And if you look at it, it started at $87 trillion. Once again, ECB, US, Japan, China converted to US dollars at the time. If you go to where it is in November, basically, that is, so some of them may be mid-month, some of them may be towards the end of the month, but I just did like, just for the title for Excel, I just did 11/1. It's up. Money supply is up 3 trillion, right? Almost 3% for the year. Okay. And what I noticed was that main liquidity came towards the second half of the year. And the data, I just looked at it over here. I put the numbers together. If you look at the data, the M2 increase is basically from China out of those four countries. You could see that, hey, look, M2 started to go up in summer, and then it hit 44 trillion USD base equivalent. Now, for the month of November, M2 is actually down in China. And if you look at M2 the last month, it's down close to what is it called? It's almost $1 trillion. Almost, not there, close to 900 billion. That's still significant. And now we've seen during that time frame stock markets ripping. But remember, money supply tends to be lagging. And if you look at what Joe Consorti is saying, he's saying there's a lag time with Bitcoin and M2. If you look at it, M2 went crazy like in the summer, and you didn't really see the explosion in Bitcoin price until Trump got elected, right? So this is where, like in October, Bitcoin stayed in a range basically, but the explosion came under Trump, his election. Now, I don't think there's going to be a Bitcoin reserve. I was talking to that with some family members, but that's another story. So if money supply starts decreasing, like we've seen in China, the ECB. Now, I do believe in Japan, it's been going up. The United States, it's been going up slightly. Probably US is going up because of the reverse repo liquidity, but that's drying out. So this is just going on top of my head. If China starts to slow down and M2 goes down, this will be problematic for the S&P 500. I'm going to do videos on the S&P 500 and M2. And I'm also going to look at um, previous year data. I'm going to look at all of that fun stuff. But once again, Bitcoin right now has been trending higher, right? The last few weeks has been headed lower, but what I would like to see is more data next month. If M2 keeps on going down, Bitcoin is probably going to head down. And next year, okay, we know Trump's elected. Now, what's going to happen during his election time? And, and there isn't that much liquidity via M2 in the United States. You know, I could take a look at this over here and I could sort it by the country and just look at this. Let me take a look at this. Okay, and then filter this. Not filter, but you can see, yeah, M2 has gone up slightly since the beginning of the year, close to $500 billion, or maybe $700 billion. Okay, that's on the way up, but if you go to, like I said, China is the biggest elephant in the room. And if this is on the way down, that's trouble. Trouble, big time trouble. Yeah, they did announce they're going to be buying bonds, which is going to add 3 trillion in yuan, but that's what 400, 500 billion. I don't think that's enough to pump up the system. So just wanted to point this out. I'm not going to look at like countries like South Korea, India, other G20 countries because I don't think it's as material as these four. Maybe even Japan isn't as material, but the yen carry trade is important, so I put that here. But ECB liquidity, M2 is going down, China's going down. It's going to happen here. Now, some people would argue that M2 is going down for the Eurozone because of the weak euro. And what happens when it gets a little stronger and the dollar goes down in value? Would that add M2 to the ECB? It could. But it's again, China, 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 China. That is something that we all have to watch if we want to look at Bitcoin, the prices of other assets, the whole 9 yards, in the United States as well. Let's see if other central banks follow what the US is doing. Anyways, let me know your thoughts. Talk to you later. See ya. Bye.